ain't been a long time coming. They ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Hola. Yeah.
All right, that's working. This is working. So listen, y'all, we are still short the cues now from the open, and it's unprecedented, okay? Because we haven't been able to stay short the cues for any extended period of time since May 12th. This is big. And again, even on the sell-off that we had 3 weeks ago on a Friday after the blow-off top on Thursday, you still got stopped out in the middle of the day. So not to be completely absurd about this trade, you still have to think it's not going to last. I'm going to go over a couple of trades that we've already done. We are on an unprecedented winning streak of 1,078 trades in a row for the last 3 years. And if you're joining us over the last couple of times, and hang on, let me get my face going over here. Oh. All right, let's start again. And so I want to welcome my friends over at StockTwits and the Raging Bullers. The TikTokers are here. Everybody's here. It's going to be a gay old time, as they used to say in the 50s. So what's up? How are you? Good to see everybody. I think everything's working. So what I was just saying is that we are in an unprecedented moment in time. The market's going down. And as we've been saying since May 12th, the market is virtually, it's illegal to short since the May 12th power gap. And I think we've been talking about it to the point where you should know what I'm talking about this time. No need to reintroduce myself. No need to talk about any of that stuff. I am a trader who lives in the moment, right? I know a lot about the market. I know I could pick directions. I know I could make money as an investor. The market hardly ever goes down. We've all seen it. But I need volatility to really put my skills to good use. And that's why I like when the market's going down, because most people lose money in that environment. I, on the other hand, do better when there's volatility because I stick to a very, very specific set of rules. And that is VWAP, multiple time frame VWAP, and price, and UVXY. So what's changed today that we haven't seen in 3 weeks? And since the last Friday sell-off that we had 3 weeks ago, before that, we hadn't had a sell-off since April 9th of any type of significance. And it's legitimately been a really horrible trade to be a shorter. And I know because I've been a bear trapped in a bull market, but the same mistakes that I've made for the last 30 years, this time I didn't make them. I just joined in and I said, hey, if you want to go ripping to all-time highs, fantastic. I'll join you this time instead of fighting the world. And we got there, right? And let me show you the chart that we're on right now. So this is your yearly, okay? And, there's your Trump candle. There's the May 12th power gap, which is where I went pretty much psychotically bullish. And even though I didn't want to believe it, we started factoring it in that there was no chance not to go back to all-time highs. And we did. And then we broke all-time highs. And that's where a lot of people start to feel more comfortable. A lot of people don't want to buy dips. They don't even want to buy the midpoint. They don't want to even admit the market's going up until they see all-time highs. And we broke all-time highs and tacked on another 40 or 50 points on the Qs. Fast forward to where we are now. This is 20 days worth of data. So there's the last sell-off from 3 Fridays ago. We had a blow-off top Thursday. We actually followed through on a Friday. And then, just like every other down move, it's met with an equal and greater move to the upside, ensuring that no shorter could ever make money holding short over any extended period of time. We're still in that market. But right now, we're entertaining the idea that we could pull back a little bit. We ran out of steam. And again, how do I know we ran out of steam? Palantir. Carvana. That's it. Sorry, there's not much to elaborate on there. But when Palantir ran out of steam, not only did I sell the stock, and I told you guys I was selling it above 185, I actually suggested it as a short. Carvana. Why? Because Palantir and Carvana are the poster children of this monstrous bull market that we're in. They don't go down. But when they do, you got to take it under advisement that, hey, maybe the market is going to go down. And the way I look at the market, I look at the QQQ as my market, right? I'm not an S&P guy. I'm not a Dow Jones guy anymore. I'm all about the Qs. Trade them every day. Daily options. I trade the stock. Trade TQQ, SQQ, whatever there's a Q involved, I'm involved. But mostly I trade the mothership, the QQQ itself, and daily options, right? So considering 3.5 years ago, some of you met me when I called the Kathy Wood top. I was looking for some signs, and those signs have been here, but there has been no selling. That's what's been very frustrating for the shorter. Today, what's changed? UVXY. So we already had a prediction from the algorithm that we built. My friend Solid Jello, who has been trading VWAP alongside me since 2007, created an algorithm that gives projected moves. And he projected the move to around 585, possibly even 602. But we also projected that April 18th, you'll see some selling in this market. So we got some selling, and we've had some selling. We're just waiting for the king and the queens of the market to finally get hit, because they've been sending in the pawns and the knights. I don't know any of the chess pieces, but something about bishops or whatever. And they've all been getting slaughtered underneath. But the king and the queen, or the king, stays back and lets all the troops get murdered. And then they finally come for the king. We're coming for the king today, right? And the only reason I'm entertaining the idea that we even stay red today is our friend UVXY, for the first time, went green, came off the floor, and has now pulled back. And for the first time since basically 3 weeks ago, it was one sell-off. Since 3 weeks ago, and it's only happened twice so far since February, the UVXY pulls back and it didn't break down. That right there is telling you that this market has changed. Is it going to crash? Is it going to correct? I don't know. But you got to be short, and you got to be short right now to find out, because the market's finally giving you permission to be short. Take the permission slip and do it, because we got a market that needs, and again, that word doesn't mean anything to anybody, should and needs, that it's not how to trade. But when you come in and you're thinking this market needs and should do something, and then it's confirmed by the prior day VWAP getting rejected up there, very subtle. You see how it hit it, and then it rolled, and then it broke VWAP. But the inability of the market to finally then, there's the faux show, and the bro was very, very short-lived. We covered our short in this candle, but then when it rolled back over, no doubt, we're shorting it again. And this time, UVXY confirmed the short, and that's why we're still short right now. And we are enjoying the 574 put, for 573s. And let me show you how wonderful this trade was. And what I just showed you here is how I trade options. So isn't this a stock that you would normally buy, right? There's your fake out, shake out. There's the VWAP break. And if this was just a stock, you'd buy it, right? Because you got a VWAP break after the fake out and the shake out. So there's the reason to buy it. And look at this trade. This is a 65-cent option that went to $3. And again, I'm never going to bullshit you. If you're in from 60 cents, I was more than happy selling some at $1. And then it pulled back. I thought the trade might be over, but my break even was my stop. VWAP was held. And then at 120, selling some contracts, $2, selling some contracts, got stopped out of there at 150. And right now I'm still in the last 3 contracts, and I'm trying to milk it because I didn't sell any up there at $3. But right now I'm feeling good about the trade. I'm on the right side. UVXY is hitting highs for the first time in what seems like forever. And we're just going to try to milk this trade for as much as they possibly want to give us, because this trade still, remember, has been a losing trade. So let's go back to the QQQ, right? We are now under 10 days worth of VWAP, which we haven't seen since May, right? We haven't seen a move that gets us below 10 days worth of VWAP. So then I look at 15 days worth of VWAP, and it's telling me that, hey, I need to stay short as long as we're under the 10, because we should be going to the 15. Now, you're asking yourself, why do these things happen? Because they do. This is how the market's programmed. I have the programming to the market, and that's why I stay focused only on VWAP and only on the algorithms that we built, circa 2007, really just started tinkering with this stuff for real, 2012, 2013, finding out which trades work best. And fast forward 10 years later, we've got it. We've got something that works, and we got something that works. And this isn't part of the streak that we're on. And when I say the streak that we're on, it's starting to become a joke. The trade hasn't failed. And when I say it hasn't failed, when I say this trade hasn't failed, it means if you wait for the setup, get involved in whatever stock it is on whatever side the market's telling you to, you've made money on the trade now 1,079 times in a row. Right? Now, I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to come to the website, and I want you to see it in action, because you're saying to yourself right now, this guy is a scammer, fraud. What he just said can't be true. It's true. And I could actually show you the 1,078 trades, especially these last 78 trades have been over the last month and a half. And again, it's not a big number if you think about it. Some people do 78 trades in a day. This is a very specific setup. And if you can stick to this setup, and it's not about being short the Qs right now or long UVXY, that's just our fun trade right now that we're in because the market told us to be. I'm talking about trades like this Viking. You guys know about Viking? One of my favorite stocks, and I hate every stock. Love the Viking. One of the strongest IPOs I have seen in the last 15 years. Viking came out with an IPO and nobody was selling it. Very rare. Usually you'll get some selling an IPO because the insiders want out. This stock was bought for basically the first week. I hadn't seen buying like that in an IPO in a very long time. And I always liked the company, so I held on to it and did pretty well. Not in it anymore, but big fan of the stock. Like the cruise lines. If you like cruises, no casinos, no kids. And they take you you've seen the commercials. Anyway, fairly new stock, right? So, it's only been out for about a year and a half. Right, here's its life. Faux show, bro. Great trade. Still think the stock's going to 80. Still think it's going to 120 within the next 3 to 5 years. I don't own it anymore. Doesn't matter. My point is, they reported earnings, right? And the trade that works every time it shows up is a earnings gap reversion trade. So, and by the way, we're still short the Qs and we're looking to get paid right now. If anybody's still long UVXY, please sell some here, but do not cover these Qs short. All right. Let me just make sure you guys know what you're doing here, right? So look, we have a target and we're going to cover some, but we're not going to get out of all of it because we think we're onto something here. So we have to break the lows of the day, which I think is going to happen right here. And that 15-day target, our bids are in, right? So we're bidding in. The order's already out there. I don't got to work. I'm not going to wait for it to get down there. I'm already bidding in to 569.85, 5 cents, 7 cents above that orange line. Now, if we break that orange line, all hell's going to break loose. And I mean all hell breaking loose, meaning we actually could go down a whopping 2.5 more points on the Qs. And it's a joke because if you think about what the Qs have just done over the last, since the April 9th Trump candle, we've rallied 190 points on a $500 ETF without any substantial pullback. So you're telling me we can't pull back? And I think not only did we pull back 2.5 more today, but I think now we're on to something because we got the market telling us we're right. We got the seasonality telling us we're right. We got the VWAP telling us we're right. We got the UVXY telling us we're right. Why the hell would you get out of this trade? We've been waiting. Well, I've been waiting 6 months for this trade. You are not getting me out. I'm going to milk this trade for as much as I possibly can get. So right now I'm looking at 572.50 as my out. If it rips against me, which it tried just a little while ago, but I'm not covering. And I think we're going to get paid. And I think we're going to get paid down to that. First, we got past the 10. We covered some there, right? And that's our new stop. So now the 15-day tells you where the next target is. And if we get through there, right? Again, I'm not going nuts here. You don't think 551 3 weeks ago. So I'm thinking if this is going to be a real correction, something where it gets kind of, I'm not going to say scary because nobody should be scared of this market because we're going to inevitably go right back up and all-time highs and continue. But right now, these 6 weeks are generally where you'll see some selling, and we're trying to take advantage of it as much as we can, not losing focus that it's still a losing trade and you're doing something that hardly ever works. So you have to trade it, reminding yourself, oh, wow, I can't believe this is working. I better take some profit. Hey, if it goes against me, I'm going to get out of the rest. And that's how you stay profitable. And that's how you stay a good trader. You need to have these internal conversations with yourself. And again, I have the internal conversations, luckily, out loud because I have people listening. Well, I think they're listening. But most of the time, I'm just sitting here literally talking to myself out loud. And if you walk into my house, you think I'm a madman because I am a madman. And if you can make it 30 years trading without losing your mind, congratulations. I'm on the freaking brink at any second. But I'm not crazy enough to believe that I'm ever going to stay short this market for any extended period of time. So right now, 3 hours, this is like a lifetime, right? And look, we had to get, and it wasn't like this is from the beginning of the day. I had to cover and get the hell out of the way, and then I got back in on the roll. And now we're still in this trade. Some people who got short way up there that was using break even, yeah, they're still in the original. I'm in it from here and, covered here, put my stop here. And that's where we're in right now. So again, UVXY just got up to 1340, had a pretty big position on that. Made a little bit, should have milked it a little bit better, but I wanted to try my experiment by getting out of UVXY to see if the market rolled over faster, and it did. So, and let me tell you, long UVXY, short the Qs has not worked since basically February. And we're in that trade, and it worked. Past tense, we're not going to blow it. Now, again, if you're conservative, right, you see where we broke down from? That's the first stop, right? I'm using it up here where we tried to recover right there. That's my stop, 57244. So unless we're back above 57244, I'm going to try to milk this trade, because I've already taken money off the table. I can let it breathe now. But I'm not going to get delusional to think that, that we're going to crash or, you just got to stay grounded in reality. This market does not want to go down. This is an enjoyable 1% pullback. I'm glad we're doing all right. Don't let it go to your head. It's not going to last. But right now, the market's giving us permission and telling us, try to make as much money as you can right now. I'm giving you their chance. So we're taking it. So let's go back to that Viking for a second. And, here we go. What I really enjoy doing, and this is legitimately my favorite trade in the world, right? I've already taken profit off the high quality trades, my Viking. And let me show you the trade that I lost money on, which is kind of embarrassing, but I'll talk about it because I got lit up. I came in, if you guys heard me on the morning show, I hate PanW, I hate this industry, I hate this stock, I hate everything about cybersecurity stocks. And my conspiracy theory is that they're the ones that spread the virus, and then they go, hey, I could solve their problem because I created it. They create their own problems, they spread their own viruses, and then they say they have the fix. I think the entire industry is a scam. Don't like it. It doesn't take me a lot not to like stocks because I'm a bear. I hate this company. I hate this stock. I hate this sector. So I see it gapping up on earnings. So I'm thinking one thing. My default is I short stocks that are gapped up on earnings that are breaking VWAP. But I don't want to be shorting when you get a faux show bro pre-market high break. So even though my default was to short, the market told me don't short because it did the pattern. There's the faux, there's the show, there's the VWAP break, there's a pre-market high break. Not only should you not be shorting, you should be buying it. So I gave it a shot and I bought myself the 188 break. And for about, I guess, 9 or 10 seconds, I was up, a good $500. And then I got hammered on that next candle. VWAP breaks, I sold half, breaks the low of the day, I wound up selling the other half. And then by the time I got done crying about it, it ripped right back without me. Just a nightmare open for me on the Pan W. And what was a nightmare more about it is that the trade that I'm supposed to be in is I usually wait for the chop to dissipate, VWAP break, new low break, short the stock that's gapped up to play the fade. And in this case, I tried to get fancy and I actually took the other side of a trade and I was up. And then basically, I would say 60 seconds later, I turned to 500%, $500 gain into close to giving it all back. And I wound up losing $168 on the trade, which was mortifying. But that's just one trade. We're traders, plural. And I just need to address that because, when you have rules, you generally want to stick to it. And again, I broke the rule because the trade set up for a long. I just wasn't quick enough to react. And again, when we finally broke, and I really didn't think this was going to happen, obviously. Look how many times it tried to break 188, 188, 188, 188. Now you got a faux show, bro, VWAP break, 188 break. I gave it a shot, and I was up, and then it tanked. What can I do but take the loss and move on? And look, if I didn't sell it, I'd be down, $3,800 on this trade now instead of just losing the close, $200. That's a winning trade. All right, so still got the Q short, again, just meandering around. So the Viking trade, this is our bread and butter. Still got it long, right? Some of us still have it long, not me. I took the money and ran. And again, when a stock does the faux show, bro, gap down. See, again, this was the reason I love this trade is that this checked all the boxes. Stocks gap down, and I like it, which is an extra box. Stocks gap down, and I like it. Then it faux shows, breaks over the VWAP, reason to buy. Trade hasn't failed in 3 years. Buy it. And you're using the faux and the shows as your outs. Raise your hand if you were at my class on Saturday. We went over about 20 or 30 charts explaining the setup, where you're buying it, where your limited risk is, and where your reward is. And that is all trading is. Why am I buying it? Earnings report, VWAP break. What am I doing if I'm wrong? I'm selling it at those two prices where they pivoted off. And what am I doing if I'm right? Well, if I'm right, I'm going to sell some into the move, and I'm expecting it to get to the orange line inevitably and possibly go even more. So right now, the longs that are still in this trade are just using, prior highs as they're out, waiting to get paid a little bit more. And that's the trade they're in. And hopefully they get paid some more. There really wasn't that much. There was the Pan W. There was the Viking. Raise your hand. Give me the other trades because I know there was a couple of other ones I just wasn't involved. Obviously, UVXY long was exciting there for a second. We got paid on that. But there was let me go find it for you. Again, if I didn't do the trade and I just talked about it, I don't really have it on my P&L, so I don't even remember. Viking, Pan W, UVXY Qs. What was the other one that was interesting? Well, we bought Viking Therapeutics. That was just us trying to pick a bottom. VXTX really didn't. Oh, wait a second. All right. Well, see, coincidentally, it's setting up for a trade right now. So what we did there is where after the catastrophe and you got the double bottom, we just bought it off the double bottom. We got paid. It pulled back. We still held it. And then finally, when it rolled over, we wound up getting out of the rest. Small loss on the rest, but we did fine with the trade. Now it's right back to where we sold it on the way down. That's actually kind of interesting now. And, again, looking at this stock, it's down on what read as good news, supposedly. Their drug, had something. But, again, with drug stocks, you just don't know how they're going to react to efficacy and all that stuff. But right now, it's coming back above the half. That's always interesting to me. If anybody's still long this, I'd be rooting for you with a tight stop at these pivot points. Hang on, let me just, I got to show the other ones. Hang on a second. Wow, I mean, it's so long ago. Way back in the beginning of the day, Home Depot. So you see what I'm seeing here, right? Again, nobody's awake at 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning to play with that candle, right? But what do you see? You see capitulation, by the way, rigging of the market, 375. You got a stock reporting earnings. Illiquid pre-market session still goes to a big, fat, massive number. If you guys know about algorithmic numbers, 375 is one of them. Big number. Right smack in the middle, 350, 375, 400. When you get up to these levels, that's a big number. Holds it mysteriously. And then next thing you know, your next tick is way up here. And you got the 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal, the trade that never fails on an earnings report. And again, this one, like the PanW, would have been a much better choice on my part to go after the Home Depot, because this stock was a gap and go. You already got the gap down. Now you got the 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal into the open. So in fact, not only was it not gapped down anymore, but it was gapped up and it still went. Now the shorters are finally getting paid because you've got a reason to short. Breaks the VWAP. Now you've got the test from underneath. That changes the entire look of the trade. So the longs got paid. Now you got the profit taking. When do the profit takers come in? VWAP breaks, range breaks. So if you know where the profit takers are going to be, that's when you take advantage and short the stock. And again, if you're short at 409, again, 2 points is 2 points. Not bad. But again, all we're trying to do as day traders is stay consistent and stick with the trade that works. Again, I could say it out loud. It works every time. Inevitably, it's not going to work. Now, let's talk about this, my friends. Yesterday, I was going to say last week. It was just yesterday. We were in a trade and you saw me working, right? And I got excited when it pulled back a nickel. It wasn't about me making a nickel on the trade. It was about me keeping my streak alive. I haven't taken many losses. And again, PanW was a loss. And again, that's not breaking the streak of this amazing trade that we're talking about. But Wolf is just, I came in yesterday, stock had gone parabolic. And as a bear, which is what gets me in trouble, when I see stocks go parabolic, all I want to do is short them. Because $2 stocks that rip to 10 generally are ripe for a pullback to 750, right? What makes me different now, opposed to my former shorter, is I would just short this stuff and just hope it went down. Now I realize we're trapped in a perpetual bull market that nothing really wants to go down. I'm not going to get in front of a steamroller trying to pick up the nickels, right? So then I wait for the confirmation. That's why VWAP, when I say VWAP has saved my life, it has saved my life. Because now I'm waiting for the permission to sell the stock short. As much as I want to hammer everything, VWAP instills the discipline in me. Short them when they're going down and breaking VWAP. So yesterday when we were doing the show live and I was putting on some size, remember I put on the size after I was wrong, right? So I shorted that VWAP break and then I shorted it on the low break. You guys were with me live, 991. And I said, hey, I'm going small because I'm expecting it to pull back to VWAP because that's what stocks do. They generally break lows and now they want to try to squeeze you out of your short. And then we sat there just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. But the waiting is the hardest part. The waiting is the hardest part. but how do you weight price? So our stop was over here, right? That was going to be the end of the trade. If we're wrong, we're going to have to get out of the rest if we break over those double, triple tops where it got rejected from the last time. So during all this jiggling and shuffling, I was shorting more because I shorted down here. Now I could short here at 1008, 1009, still using the same risk parameter. I'm going to get out of the whole position at 1020. So I started adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. And if I was wrong, I would have eaten the trade, but I wasn't wrong. And then look, all that waiting, if you held the pain, you made the gain. And where did it go? To the prior day VWAP, because the market is rigged to search out the most important two, let's call them moving averages of the day. As far as a day trader is concerned, this is it. You don't need 200-day, 100-day, 50-day, 20-day, 5-day, EMA, stochastics, Bollinger Bands, Ichiro clouds. None of that is going to serve you any good. Just use volume, weighted average price, and other types of volume indicators. That tells you where the money is going. It's not schmucks like me with my 3,000 shares of Wolf that's moving the stock. You want to know where the real players, the 30,000, 300,000 share players are doing their business. Doing their business, as my grandmother used to say. You doing your business? Yeah. Can you shut the door? So wonderful trade. And again, you just never know where your monster trades are going to come from. And suddenly this went from a grind to a pretty damn good trade, especially if you're shorting up here at $10.12 with a couple thousand shares. And then you know where it's going. You don't know, but you got your idea because we've seen it a million times. VWAP to VWAP. And look at the stock. And then you learn a little bit more about trading because late day selling is... You in the back, late day selling is, say it. Late day selling is, anyone? Institutional selling. Late day selling begets also a weak follow through. Late day selling. So then late day selling, you come in today and you say, all right, give me a reason. Again, this was a choppy mess again today, but you're seeing some selling. Anyway, I just wanted to show that trade to you because I hope you guys stuck with it. You know, we were doing that live and it really didn't do anything for the hour that we spent with it. But an hour later, you got paid. And, you know, that's day trading. 60 cents on a $10 stock all day, baby. All right, let's talk about this Home Depot short for a second, right? So if you are short, you know, this is, you're still going to try to milk this trade because let me show you the 1 minute. Let me get to the 1 day. So look at that. The pivot points and the high water marks that was hitting in the aftermarket here is now prior day VWAP. So the shorter says one thing. Hey, I'm short. I better take some profit because shorting is short-lived and you're going to die. But the shorter also says, well, I've seen blue line or orange line. I'm going to hang in there. So the stop is the VWAP on top. And that little candle right there, which you might think is insignificant. No, it's very significant because that's your other stop. So if you're short even 50 shares of Home Depot now, your first stop is the breakdown price. Well, you could use 3 stops, really. I try to use as many stops as I can because that keeps you in these trades when they start to jiggle and chop around. So if you are still short Home Depot, fantastic. Now, again, there was a couple of other ones. You had Viking Therapeutics. You had the Home Depot XPEV. Here you go. Here. And I forget this one. Oh, I know why. Because I wasn't involved. And I'm embarrassed. I always want more Parmesan. But I'm embarrassed. What? You guys know that song? If you do, you're a nerd. I always want more Parmesan, but I'm embarrassed. You know what I'm talking about. So here, this, my friends, XPEV, right? Take a picture of the screen and put that on your wall because that in there is everything you need to know about trading. And if you could understand what's going on in that chart, you can now understand everything there is to know about trading. And that's why conquering VWAP, you conquer the world. And I mean it. VWAP's the only truth left, not just in trading, in life. VWAP never lies to us. So this trade, let's walk through it, right? XPEV, it's a Chinese car company, which means it's some Chinese kid driving around in a car calling it a company. Probably doesn't exist. We don't know. It's a Chinese stock. To me, none of them are real companies. And I treat them as such. I hate Chinese stocks. I wish they all get delisted. And if you're long Alibaba, I'm rooting against you. Sorry. I don't want anybody here supporting Chinese stocks. They should all be delisted. They shouldn't be allowed to be trading on our market. Just my opinion. But then you realize you're just a trader and you're trading a setup and you forget that this is some worthless Chinese car company. So let's go through the steps. Did they report earnings? They did. That's why we're watching it. Little chop down, right? Holds the VWAP and the prior day VWAP. Reason to buy. Woo! Rips. Wasn't involved. Chinese gapped up stock on earnings. I'm thinking about shorting it, right? Wasn't paying attention. There's the short. A lot of chop, but VWAP break gets to the prior day VWAP. But then, and if you do, right? And if you do, how about a faux show? And if the shakeout part, remember I showed this to you yesterday, if the shakeout part is prior day VWAP, that's twice as strong. So the faux show bro VWAP break trade works, and like I said, every time lately. Eventually it's not going to work. But if you were waiting for a reason to buy this, there it is, friends. Fake out, shake out to the prior day, then the VWAP break. And I didn't join in on this trade until it broke there because I didn't see it. I didn't join in as I started talking about it. But if you were watching this, and again, that's why every morning I'll give you the stocks you want to watch, generally earnings reports and they're in the news or they have unusual volume. And you just wait for them to set up and then you join in. And that's trading. And it is just awesome. So while we're still sitting here short the cues, it's a lot easier to stay in a trade that hardly ever works when you've taken the profit from the trades that work really well, and that funds the other idea. And now we're in house money. We're making money on the house money all night long. Say what? House money all night long. Say what? Oh, house money all night long. What's up?
You're gonna set you free. Run your body. You're gonna set you free. Run your body. Music's gonna set you free. Run your body. It's gonna set you free. Run your body.
Anybody show Palantir? Thank you very much. Come on, break it on down now.
Check this out.
Girl, I'll house you. Girl, I'll house you. Girl, I'll house you. You in my hut now. My hut. Girl, I'll house you. Girl, I'll house you. Girl, I'll house you. You in my hut now. When you're in my hut, you know what's up. Let your mind be.
All right. I don't want to get in trouble with copyright infringement. But hey, listen, that Pan W just did what it was supposed to do. And when you get something that's supposed to happen, you take the money and run because stocks don't normally do what they're supposed to do anymore. You see how that fade, you got back to the low of the day and look, that's where they're buying it again. Also, you have prior day VWAP acting as support. Now, this is what I like about this setup right now. If it rallies here, and let's say it gets to the 184 and then it rolls again and breaks that new double bottom and that orange line, it's still a short as well as a brand new short because then you could identify new risk by using these breakdown prices as your stop because if it does roll over, and I really hope it does because I really hate this stock and I know people are still short, and right now the lows of the day are being broke. Come on now. Now push it. I want to see 169.50 and then 167.50 on this move. I didn't sit in this trade for 4.5 hours, not expecting to get paid a little bit more here. Now, if it starts ripping up in my face now, and if we don't break 570 on this move, we might be sitting here just like that wolf trade for the next 2-3 hours. That doesn't mean it's over. Because right now you're seeing everything you need to want to finally stay short. As I explained before, Carvana, Palantir, right? Poster children of momentum, giving it up. And by the way, I hope you guys watched me last week. I made a formal announcement for the first time in over 3 or 4 years. I'm going to be free of Palantir, and I suggested you go short because you saw the signs. 120 got you 150, 150 got you 180. At 180, you usually see some sellers. They overshot it, and then it rolled. Short it, sell it, and short it. And now we're down to the 160. I think we're going to 150. Who's still short the Qs? Come on. Now, normally in a non-psychotic world, I'd be covering some now. I'm not. I'm going for broke, baby. I'm not covering any here. I don't care. I'm looking for the next level down. I want my exact trade, right? Normally, I cover whole numbers without even thinking about it. But I'm not. That doesn't mean you don't, right? If you're just in this trade, I'm just making, I want every damn penny I can. I want 569.77. God damn it. Shit, we're off by 7 cents, solid. Damn it. I think we'll get it. So right now, the low of the day is 84. Our prediction was 77. Wait, we got 81. Sorry, I'm off by 3 cents now. Come on. All right, if it starts bouncing here, actually, you're going to have to lower my stop because that would be annoying. Off by 6 cents. 3 cents, really. Damn it. But close enough, right? Anybody who's still short, don't blow the trade. I don't think it's impossible to blow it now, right? Come on. Just prove my point and hit the freaking 77 by now. What a grind. It's still just a grind being short. Now, if we start, now again, here's where I do. I'm going to show you something. Now that we basically got to the orange line, I mean, my bid didn't get done. I'm trying to be, my actual bid is at 569.77. I mean, they just went around my order basically. But if it starts ripping higher now, I'm not going to let it go 572.50 anymore. All right. So I'm going to lower my stops now to this last breakdown area. So now if 569.77, I cover some. And then I look for it to get down to the 20-day VWAP, which is what I hope to have happen, which is just another, $1.20. But if we break there, then we're going down another 4 or 5, which I think either happens today or happens tomorrow. And right now, I am psychotic enough to believe, right this second, I'm going to say this out loud, I'm staying short overnight. Unless you rip these from my hands. There's no reason to not think we're about to give back some more on this market. So why the hell would I get out? I'm not. I'm not getting out until they come for me. Literally come for me. Bam! There you go. Now you covered 200 shares. There you go. Now you put your feet up on the desk. Thank you very much, Kenny. How did he know it was going to go to 596.77? I'm a freaking genius. That's why. I've been doing this my whole life. I invented this thing, man. Come on. Now put the music back on, right? What do we want to do now? I don't know. Let's go. Nothing left to do but wait. Not getting me out of the short. Guy in the back's like, what's he dancing about? I thought he said the market never goes down. Not today, pal. Not today.
It's such a dream about the seats, make your body.
song is that sampled from? Come on, where's my disco fans?
The soul sonic force, power and MC Glow, we emphasize this, so we got ego. Make this your night, split it right in my day. As the people say, live it up, shut. So work or play, our world is free. We want to be me.
Right there. That's Trans Europe Express that they took that from, which is a disco song that nobody knows what I'm talking about now from Europe. What was the name of that group? Trans Europe Express. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been waiting 6 months for this move. You think I'm going to get out of the trade that I've been waiting for 6 months to have happen? Hell no. Plus, look at our friend UVXY telling us that you're right. Finally, moron. It's about time we got this right? Now, even though it's working, don't forget rule number 1, shorting is short-lived and you're going to die. Now that we've covered some at 569.77, right? We're looking for 568.56. Do I need to tell you where I think we're going? 551.50. 551.50. That's 18 more points to the downside. I think that's what we're going to get. But I'm going to live in reality, knowing that the market really doesn't want to go down, and that's just probably just a temporary, momentary lapse of reason, using the Pink Floyd album. And I'm going to lower my stop because inevitably, you're getting this thing's going to rip in our face at some point. So now the conservative shorter, right? Get rid of all these lines because nothing up there means anything to us. And by the way, is anybody short Palantir? Because you got to cover right here. Sorry. Hang on. And by the way, you see Palantir confirming the short. Let me show you why you want to cover. It just hit one of our targets. I mean, you want to cover. It just hit one of our targets because that's where we broke out from. So when stocks get to areas where they broke out from, you got to do something right around here. So that's that 160 area. Do something about it. But I do think you're going to get another 8 or 9 points to the downside. If not, give it Jerry or back to where we came from, which is the 145. But please do not try to milk a Palantir short. This trade has worked perfectly. You have to be out of at least 80% of it right now. Please don't be delusional. The stock's still going to 250. They're going to wash people out. But when it turns, my friends, it's going to rip. It's going to rip because this bad boy's still going to 250. Just like the Qs, right? That's why we covered on the way down here. So let me show you where you put your stop. The conservative stop is the breakdown price, right? So let's go back to a minute chart. Right, let's get rid of all this stuff because we're in a new realm, right? We broke generational lows at 572.50 finally. So now look at that spot right there. Almost a triple bottom break. That is now your first stop, which is the exact price would be 570.41. Put the stop in. And then where you broke down from earlier is 571.50. So you're not going to let it go back to 572.50 now that you've covered some at this wonderful price down here. 1 stop here, 2 stops here. So right now, I'm going to join you. So let me, this is what that's what gets me in trouble because I'm too busy talking and I don't put my own freaking trade in and now I just blew up my freaking screen. What happened? And welcome to my life because I talk about the trade and the next thing you know, I'm not even doing it. And then I start crying about it. But you told us to do it. How come you're not doing it? Yeah, I know. Where did my trade go? And now we're good. Now I can't lose. All right. That's how you stay consistent. Right? Take money, lower stop. Long trade, take money, raise stop. But the Palantir here, look at the 45-day VWAP, as somebody just pointed out. I don't use 45 days, but there's your 3-month. That's where I think you could go, but you just got to a very, very specific area. You got to do something right there. And as Palantir goes and Carvana, so goes the market. And that's been the thesis behind where we're at right now. Palantir gave way first, Qs came second. Carvana started giving way a couple of days ago, then the Palantir. Right? Carvana had the blow off top on the earnings. That was sign number one, but it didn't follow through because this market is like it's invincible. But the sign was there. Palantir had to give it up. Right? And of course, CoreWeave, which has been an obvious short also. And that's where we're at. And I'm sticking to my story. And we got 9 minutes to spend with each other. I won't be around. Actually, I might be around Thursday night, but I'm going out partying. Got a 2-day event in the city. And Thursday, I'll probably be sleeping. But if I'm awake, will probably be a good idea to schmooze, because depending on where we are over the next 72 hours, and if we don't get the follow through, let's say we bottomed out today and that's all we get for the Qs and you get stopped out, which is okay. Because if we break that monthly, which is where I think we're going next, we got another 17 points to the downside. And we need to talk about that. And all this shorting, right, has been going on. Who's got the Viking long still? Right? And this is how you stay a consistent trader, homies. You stay with the stock, not what the stock market's doing. It's a big thing. It's called bucking the trend. No, I didn't just say what you think I said. Bucking the trend. Bucking the trend. When your stock's going the opposite way of the overall market, you want to go twice as hard in the stock. That's bucking the trend, because that's telling you that the stock doesn't care about what the market's doing. That's how strong this thing is, because the buyers are here. And blue line, orange line. And now your Viking trade is 11 cents away, or it's now 7 cents away from perfection. Faux show, bro. VWAP break, blue line to orange line. Trade has not failed in over 3 years. Opposed to the QQQ trade, which fails most of the time. But we keep going back to it because we're degenerate losers that like shorting stocks. So I'm just talking about myself. Because that's what it's all about, my friends. Staying focused on what works. And you want to do something that doesn't work too often, do it when the market gives you permission. And today, the permission slip was given. UVXY going green as we were going down. And it really took a lot, because UVXY, man, I was long 10,000 shares and this thing did not want to move. And I bought more right at the low of the day, and it just didn't. I mean, I was scraping a nickel out of it. And finally it moved. I sold it to kind of make the market go down because I was short the Qs at the time. So here we are. Anybody have any questions? And if you are short Palantir, and again, I'm telling you, you just got, you got paid down to those levels where we hoped it would get to. I'd be out at 80%, but, do the right thing. You're breaking under the level, so you got, you legitimately can get the other 14. You just don't want to be greedy on a Palantir short. You got paid. It's awesome. And by the way, if you like Palantir, let me show you what I'm doing. When it hopefully it does go down another, 15 or 20 points, I'm selling the March 95s for next year, because that's how I trade. When I want to buy back into something, I sell puts first to test the waters. And if I'm wrong, it's all right, because I want to be wrong in a way, because I want to buy, if the stock goes back to 90, I want back in. So I'll sell, I'll go out to March. I'm out to March of 2026. And I've sold these for 5 a couple of weeks ago. They're still actually above 5. But if the stock tanks and I could get like $10 or $15 for a $95 put going out till March, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm planning on selling another. I only have 2 contracts. I'm planning to get up to 10, because I'm willing to buy 1,000 shares, because I still love the stock. And if you give me a chance to buy this bad boy at under 95, I'm in. So these are the 95 puts. And again, if you know anything about selling puts, they were at $37. Yeah, I sold some at $5 a couple of weeks ago. They went to $2.50. But if the stock starts to tank and these start to go higher, around $12.50, I would love to sell some at $12 and $15. Hey, look, if the stock really tanks and I get a chance to sell them in the 20s, better. That's why I don't go all in at one price. And if you are still short the Qs, come on! See that? Can't get us. They can't get us. We're too savvy. We're too savvy. All the way. What's our next target? You guys are paying attention, right? And if you don't have the 10-day VWAP and the 15-day VWAP, it's because they don't exist. You have to get my script to build it for you. So there's the 15. We've won. And now the question is, do we get to, sorry, that's the 15, and we get to the 20, right? Which is, we're talking about another $1. But if we do break that price, right, then I think we get another, at least another 250 to the downside, if not right to the 565. So if you're not catching my drift, we're short the Qs for the first time in a very, very long time, and we're still short the Qs. And there's zero reason to get out of this entire position right now. So we're milking it, and we're going to milk it. And right now I'm thinking about holding it overnight unless it gets me out. I'm going to tell you something. And here's a funny comment. I'll leave you with this. Not only do I expect to get stopped out, I want to get stopped out. You know why? Because we probably could reshort it again at a better price for tomorrow and Thursday. And let me tell you this, kids. If we're selling off on a Friday, talking about this Friday, let's say we, maybe we consolidate right here, and it doesn't look like we're going to bounce any significant today. I think we're on this trade. But let's say we do get stopped out, and the market kind of meanders around, maybe consolidates a little tomorrow, get a little weakness on Thursday. If we start rolling over on a Friday, that's when real fear comes in. Nobody likes a sell-off on a Friday, because the idea is that it always gets worse on Monday. Plus seasonality. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm not the only one expecting the market to be weak from August 18th till the middle of September. That's a seasonal time to be going short. So all the market's doing now is confirming the seasonal trend. And we're just taking advantage of it as much as we possibly can. And that's why you are not getting me out of this short until they come for me. And that's my story. And if you'd like to learn more, email me at kennyglick@aol.com. If I'm not hungover and coherent Thursday night, we'll gather again. I'll be here. Will I be able to do this tomorrow? Probably not. Where am I going to be? No. Yeah, I might. I'll try to get a hotspot or something. Maybe do this from the park. Or maybe I'll do it outside the stock exchange. That could be fun. I'll be on the road tomorrow right by Walmart. Wall Street. And then I'm going out, and then I'll be gone, and then I'll be back Thursday afternoon. Hopefully I don't wake up with some other tattoo on my head, because that's how it gets when I party with DJ Smike. And if you are still short Pan W, go you, because you just got the 582.50, it looks like, right? All right, if you waited for it, at least you got it. Oh, no, it was there. All right, so it's still banging out at the 1 day. But if it consolidates here and can't get it going again and breaks down finally, start looking at 2 days worth of VWAP. There's the 181, and then 3 days, you're looking at 180. And then, of course, 5 days is usually where, if you can get through the 1 and the 2, you generally gravitate or pull back to the 5 day. So there you go. Nice hanging out with you. No cursing, right? Made it through the whole show without one F-bomb. I tried. Almost did it. Almost slipped there. That was for you, Grandma. My grandma told me I sound unintelligent when you curse. It's just for flavor, Grandma. All right. I'll see you guys. Fantastic day. Fantastic short. And remember, don't blow this trade. Don't be delusional, my friends. Peace.